Welcome to Technology Paul. If you've watched my channel before, you know I've covered Spotify in the past. A couple of years ago, I did a Spotify versus Apple Music comparison. But this time, I wanted to do something a little different. This is a full Spotify review for 2026, focused entirely on where the platform stands today, what it does exceptionally well, where it falls short, and who it's actually for. Spotify recently emailed me a promotion offer to rejoin the premium tier. So I figured this was the perfect time to dive back in and do an updated review. Spotify in 2026 is no longer just a music streaming app. It's become a full-blown audio platform. Music, podcasts, audiobooks, video content, AI-driven discovery, all living under one roof. And depending on what you're looking for, that's either Spotify's biggest strengths or one of its biggest drawbacks. Let's start high level and work our way down. But before we jump into its features, let's talk about Spotify's pricing, which has increased in the last year. There's still a free tier, which gives you access to the full catalog, but with ads, limited skips, and lower audio quality. Obviously, this tier is fine for casual listening and great for folks who might not have the budget for the paid tier, but realistically, Spotify shines as a premium product. The free tier is just the gateway. On the paid side, you've got premium individual, duo, family, and student plans. Spotify sits right in line with competitors like Apple Music with very similar pricing. Where Spotify starts to differentiate is what you get for that monthly fee. Your premium subscription isn't just paying for music anymore. It now includes video, podcasts, and a monthly allocation of audiobook listening hours. So the value conversation has shifted a little bit, and I see Spotify genuinely trying to add more value to its platform. At a high level, Spotify now offers three core types of content: music, podcasts, and audiobooks. Music is still the foundation, and it's what most people come to Spotify for. Podcasts have become a massive part of the platform with both audio and video formats, and audiobooks are the newest major pillar, adding a completely different kind of listening experience into the mix. This shift is important because Spotify isn't trying to just be the best music app anymore. It's trying to be the app you open anytime you want to listen to something, whether that's an album, podcast episode, or a few chapters of a book. But let's start with the music experience, since that is, of course, the most important of all. When it comes to music, Spotify is still best known for one thing above all else: discovery. Features like Discover Weekly, Release Radar, daily mixes, and the broader Made For You hub remain the backbone of Spotify's recommendation system. And in 2026, they're still incredibly strong. Spotify's algorithm continues to feel more intuitive and more adventurous than most competitors. It doesn't just reinforce what you already like, it actively helps you find new artists, new genres, and new tracks that actually stick. Spotify has also leaned hard into faster, more visual discovery. There's now a TikTok-style swipeable feed that surfaces short clips from songs, music videos, or artist content. You can quickly flip through tracks, save what you like, skip what you don't, and let the algorithm learn even faster. On top of that, newer features like Spotify DJ add another layer. Spotify DJ is an AI assistant that gives you a simulated radio DJ experience for your listening session. It even talks between tracks, but it also adjusts to your mood. With a tap of a button, you can tell it to switch up the vibe. DJ provides you with some suggested prompts, or you can make a special request using voice or typing. Another AI tool Spotify provides is the ability to generate playlists using simple descriptions like a mood, activity, or vibe. And Spotify builds something surprisingly accurate. You can, for example, type "my top played songs from last year," or "1-hour gym workout playlist," or "classic road trip tunes." Then you can keep or remove particular tracks, or refine the playlist further with a follow-up prompt. This discovery-first mindset is still where Spotify clearly separates itself from the pack. I highly enjoy just going down the rabbit hole of music discovery on Spotify. When you're listening to a song, you have a great interface available to dig further into the artist, find similar artists, explore video clips, and so on. It's something you can get sucked into, but unlike scrolling social media, it's a rewarding experience. For years, audio quality was one of the main areas where Spotify lagged behind its competitors like Apple Music and Tidal. That gap has now largely closed. Spotify offers multiple streaming quality tiers, including lossless audio for premium users. Lossless streams at significantly higher bit rates, delivering noticeably better clarity, especially on good headphones or speakers. By default, Spotify uses an automatic quality setting that adjusts based on your connection, but excludes lossless to save data. If you want the best quality, you can manually set lossless for Wi-Fi streaming while keeping cellular streaming on automatic. That gives you the best of both worlds: maximum quality at home and reasonable data usage on the go. In terms of raw audio quality, Spotify is now competitive with Apple Music and Tidal. One of the most interesting changes to Spotify in recent years is the addition of audiobooks. Premium subscribers get a monthly allocation of audiobook listening hours that can be used across a massive catalog. You don't have to buy a book up front. You can start listening immediately, sample multiple titles, and switch between them freely within your available hours. The catalog includes a large number of bestsellers and popular titles across fiction, nonfiction, fantasy, romance, and more. Compared to competitors, this is a big deal. Apple Music doesn't offer audiobooks at all, and Audible operates on a credit-based model where you essentially buy one book per month. Spotify's approach feels more flexible and exploratory. You can listen without committing to ownership, which fits perfectly with how people already use streaming services. For many users, audiobooks alone make Spotify feel like a much better value, and I tend to agree. I love the feeling of being able to listen to an audiobook without committing to it and being stuck with it if I don't like it. Then there are podcasts, which remain a huge focus for Spotify in 2025. The platform hosts one of the largest podcast libraries available, spanning news, true crime, business, sports, and entertainment. Spotify has also leaned heavily into video podcasts, making the experience feel closer to YouTube while still keeping audio-first listening available. Again, I quite like the experience of diving into the podcasts tab in the app because it's so focused on discovering great podcast episodes, or in essence, great conversations. You can, of course, focus on just the podcasts you follow, but you've also got this feed which offers you a sample of different episodes the algorithm thinks you might like, which can kind of get you sucked into it. And I think we're seeing them show the video version up front to provide more visual interest. And honestly, it works really well for me. It feels very YouTube-like, where you click on an interesting video sample and dive in. If you listen to podcasts regularly, Spotify is arguably one of the best platforms available. If I had to summarize Spotify's biggest strengths, it comes down to 4 things. First, music discovery and personalization. Spotify's algorithm is still the gold standard, and they're the most innovative in this space. Second, content breadth. Music, podcasts, audiobooks, and video all live in one place. Third, cross-platform support. Spotify works everywhere: phones, tablets, desktops, smart speakers, cars, and gaming consoles. And fourth, constant iteration. Spotify never feels stagnant. Features evolve, experiments roll out, and the platform keeps moving forward. That said, Spotify isn't perfect. One ongoing criticism is artist compensation. On a per-stream basis, Spotify generally pays artists less than platforms like Apple Music or Tidal. For users who care deeply about how artists are paid, this can be a meaningful downside and a reason to look elsewhere. Another issue comes down to user interface philosophy. Spotify puts everything, music, podcasts, and audiobooks, into a single app. That's incredibly convenient, but can also make the app feel busy or bloated. I can definitely see older folks or less tech-savvy people having a harder time with it. Apple takes the opposite approach, splitting music, podcasts, and audiobooks into separate apps. Neither approach is objectively better, but some users strongly prefer one over the other. So is Spotify worth it in 2026? For most people, yes. Spotify remains one of the most complete, feature-rich audio platforms available. Its discovery tools are unmatched. Its content library is massive, and its shift into audiobooks and video has made it far more than just a music app. It's not perfect, and it won't be for everyone. But if you want one app that does audio better than almost anyone else, Spotify is still very hard to beat. As someone who hasn't tried Spotify in a couple of years, I was quite impressed. But that's just me. What are your thoughts on Spotify? Most people must have tried it at this point, right? Are you considering switching music streaming platforms this year? Let me know what you think in the comments. If you're a subscriber to my channel, you might consider supporting my work further by becoming a channel member for just $2.99 per month. As a member, you get priority replies to your comments, 24-hour early access to new videos, and loyalty badges. Plus, it goes a long way to supporting my ability to make content. But if you're new to my channel, perhaps you'll consider subscribing, which is free. I post more content all the time, so make sure you don't miss out. Thanks as always, and have a good one. See you in the next video.